Most people consider a Rubik's Cube a completely visual puzzle where you have to match up each color to each side of a cube. However, there are many different tactile cubes that allow somebody who is blind or low vision to solve a Rubik's Cube or a speed cube completely non-visually. Let's talk about it. Hi everyone, this is Carrie on Accessibility, and welcome to another episode of the Epic Ally podcast where we deep dive into accessibility and technology. Today, we're going to talk about the accessibility of solving the Rubik's Cube or speed cubes. There is a difference, but we won't get into that because it's a little too nerdy for this podcast. If you've been following the channel for a while now, you may know that I have a bit of a hobby of collecting and solving speed cubes, puzzle cubes, etc. I made a video on a tactile cube before, and people have asked me to create a video and talk about how to solve the Rubik's Cube, but it's kind of really challenging to do that. I just had a hard time coming up with an explanation. But I don't need to do that anymore because someone wrote a book that is an accessible guide of how to solve the Rubik's Cube. And no, that does not involve taking it apart by throwing it on the floor or anything like that and putting it back together. The book goes over how to actually solve it. And today we'll be speaking with the author and talking all about cubing. But before we roll the interview, this channel and this podcast is supported by the amazing CoA members on YouTube and Patreon. All right, let's roll the interview and I will meet you on the other side. Well, thank you so much for coming today. Could you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, hi, Carrie. Thanks for having me as your guest. My name is Paul Martz, M-A-R-T-Z, and I am the author of the recently published book, Solve It, the Only Speedsolving Guide for Blind Cubers. And thank you so much for letting me come on your podcast and promote the book.
I am so excited about this. So about maybe a year or two ago, I'm not really sure exactly when, I sat down, went on YouTube, tried to figure out how to solve a 3x3, and it took a very, very long time and a lot of memorization and a lot of just stumbling along because I wasn't able to really see the videos very well. I could zoom in and people were not descriptive at all. So tell us about your book and how it's different and, your journey through cubing.
Well, I can definitely relate to what you just said. Boy, did I ever feel your pain once I lost my eyesight. I have retinitis pigmentosa, and I actually figured out how to solve a Rubik's Cube when I was a teenager many years ago as a fully sighted teenager. But I slowly lost my eyesight. I eventually switched over to solving a tactile cube. And I needed to refresh my memory. And I had that same experience you did. I thought, well, I'll just look up how to do it on the web and watch a video. And I couldn't see the videos anymore. And many of the web pages weren't accessible. So it was a real struggle for me, but I kind of, muscled through it and figured out how to solve it again. And I started to make text notes to myself that I could read with my screen reader. And those text-based notes turned into this book that's now available for any blind reader to read. And so my book is very different from other resources because it's designed from the ground up to be accessible. It's 100% plain text. There are no videos, images, diagrams, anything like that. So if you can read it as an EPUB with your screen reader or with a Braille display, then you can learn how to solve a tactile Rubik's Cube as well.
That is amazing. So I I have purchased your book, full transparency here, but I haven't sat down and read it yet.
It's an investment in time and commitment. You've got to want it, Carrie. You have to want it. It is going to take some time to work your way through it, especially when it comes to memorizing it. It's pretty easy to read through the book, figure out how to do it, and solve your cube, and then go through and read it again and solve your cube. But it's going to take many read throughs before you can get to the point where you've got it memorized and you don't need the book anymore. The people that do this regularly, like myself, we're solving the cube maybe a dozen times a day, and it's only by that continued practice that you get better. Now, the good news is, as blind people, we exercise a couple of critical skills all the time. We're constantly using our memory to keep track of where we've set things down and where we've laid things. And we're
Mhm.
constantly using our tactile sensitivity to recognize what we're holding or what we're picking up, or even reading Braille, for example, or finding bump dots on our microwave. So those are the two big skills that you really need to solve the tactile cube. And as a blind person, you're already exercising them every day. So it's really, if you just take a cube and you put some tactile markings on it, you're ready to go as a blind person. And then all you need are the instructions. And that's what my book is for.
So let's take somebody that has never tried cubing before, and they're blind, totally blind. What do you advise them to do? Should they read the book first, or get a tactile cube first, or what should it look like?
Yeah, let's talk about where to get a tactile cube, first of all, right? That's kind of a big deal. It's easier than you think. If you've picked up a cube designed for sighted people, it has no textures at all. All the sides feel the same. The only way that you would know their difference is if you could see the colors, right? Then you
Mhm.
could take bump dots that you probably already have and just apply those. But bump dots are kind of a mixed bag. I bought a variety pack and I applied them to a sighted cube and it worked, but I wasn't entirely pleased with the results. Well, it turns out there are better solutions available. If you just do a web search for tactile cube, you'll find shopping results, Amazon and a bunch of other places, independent aids, maxi aids, that all sell Rubik's cubes that are already produced with those tactile markings that you need. And I want to take this opportunity to promote a new website that's came online recently. They're called texturecube.com. This is someone who contacted me after my book was published and said, hey, totally by coincidence. What they do is they buy very nice high-end quality speed cubes that people use in speed cubing competitions, and then they apply very nice, very comfortable, easy on the fingers tactile markings to those, and then they resell those and ship those. So it's a lot of sources for getting a tactile cube. And yes, definitely, if you're a blind person just starting out, the first thing you need is a tactile cube. And you might have one because somebody maybe gave you one and you were frustrated and couldn't figure it out. So it's gathering dust on a shelf or it's in the back of a drawer somewhere. Dig that cube out, get my book, and figure out how to solve it.
Yes. So for the record, I want to just say it's probably best you actually have a cube before you try to go through instructions. Is that right?
Yes, yes, you don't want to read my book before you've got a cube to play with, because it pretty much starts out in chapter 1 with let's see what the cube feels like, let's explore it, find out how to turn it and how we're going to talk about the turns and rotations, and then we're going to finally jump right into the steps for getting that solution and getting it solved.
I put out a social post a while back when you had first published, or close to when you had first published your book, and somebody said, "Oh, I bought the book and I started reading it. I guess I should probably buy a cube now." I'm like, that should be the first step.
Yeah, and thank
Yes.
you very much for promoting the book on your website. I really appreciate that. It's all about spreading the word. Maybe I should talk about, once you've got a tactile cube, where do you get the book? So
Where can you get it?
I'll
Mhm.
mention that it is free if you're a Bookshare subscriber, Bookshare patron. and it's an EPUB. The only format where it's available is EPUB at the moment. If you'd like to buy it, it's available at Apple Books, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Smashwords for $1.99, and it's available as an Amazon Kindle for $2.99. Now, if you would prefer a plain Microsoft Word .docx file, then please contact me at the book's companion website. That is tactilecuber.com. You can also contact me at my own website, paulmartz.com. Fill out the contact form, go straight to my inbox. I would be happy to send you a Microsoft Word file for free.
Will you be coming out with an audiobook for it?
You know, that's what everybody says. I'm a writer first and foremost, and I've talked to my writer friends about how do you publish books for blind readers? Everyone wants to know. Now that I've got this book out. And I tell them that all of my blind friends, they will, when I tell them there's a book available, they'll say two things. One, can I get it on Bard? And if not, then is it an audiobook at audible.com? So I'll warn you that an audiobook may not be the best format for this kind of content, because you're going to want to read it a sentence or two at a time, and then you're going to want to pick up your cube and play with it a little bit and check to see if it corresponds with what you just read. Then you're going to want to go back and reread maybe that last sentence and on to the next one. And again, pick up your cube and play with it a little bit. So an EPUB will let you navigate a sentence at a time using a screen reader, or with a refreshable Braille display, you can read by sentence, by word, whatever granularity you need. Most audiobook players jump back 15 seconds or 30 seconds, and I think it's going to be a frustrating experience for this kind of content. So I opted to not do an audiobook. That's not to say that it won't exist in the future. I would really like to get this book available through NLS Bard, and one of the formats that they supply it in is an audio format. So that might happen at some point.
I would love that. So tell us a little bit about how fast does it take you to actually solve the cube?
Sure. So the book is, let's talk about the book, because there's a lot of different methods for solving the cube. And the book is divided into a couple of parts. We start out with a beginner method, and then we move on to a more advanced method that will allow you to solve faster. Once you have that beginner method memorized and you've practiced it a few times, you should be able to comfortably solve the cube in less than 5 minutes. Once you work your way through part 2, and there's a lot more memorization in part 2 and a lot more practicing involved, so you have to be very dedicated to work your way through part 2. But if you can get through that material and get quite good at it, then you can expect to solve it under 2 minutes. And I am currently approaching solving it at about a minute. My fastest time is just a fraction of a second slower than a minute. So I'm not quite under a minute yet, but I'm going to keep practicing because I know I can do it. And
I think my fastest is about 2 to 3 minutes ish, and I think that's still the beginner method.
good job. That's excellent.
Ah,
Uh,
it's
and
very slow.
we should not compare ourselves against sighted people, but I go to regular competitions here in the state of Colorado. Typically about 80 people will show up, and I'm the only one who's blind. Everyone else is solving sighted, and they're all faster than a minute. Some of the fastest people there can solve it in under 10 seconds. It's pretty amazing just to be in the room with these people that are doing this. It's really quite incredible.
I've seen what is it, like a sub 6, so under 6 seconds solves in the past. I don't know what the world record is. Is it under
I
5?
think it's under 4 seconds.
Under 4 now. Oh,
It is.
okay.
It's
Wow.
remarkably fast.
I don't think I'll ever get there ever. One
No.
interesting thing though, for competitions, they also have a blindfolded solve, right? And so when I first started getting into cubing, I'm like, oh, it's blindfolded. That's really cool, you know? Except what I found out is they memorize like the unsolved state and then they just have it in their head how to actually solve it. And I'm just astounded at like the fact that, you know, they memorize everything and then they can solve it without looking at it. That's essentially what it is instead of solving it how we would solve it.
I I would love it if they would change the name of that event from blindfold to
Mhm.
memorization, right?
Yes, I
But
agree.
yeah, but yeah, they memorize the entire cube and they solve it by memory blindfolded. So no tactile markings or anything. And it just tells you how incredibly sick some of these top end competitors are.
Mhm,
They're just
mhm.
amazing. And for some of them, even solving one of them blindfolded isn't enough of a challenge. They have to do what's called multi-blind, where they memorize 2 or 3 or 4 different cubes and then solve them
Oh.
back to back by memory. It's
Wow, okay,
great.
I did not know about that.
It's crazy.
Now I wonder if you give one of those cubers and not let them look at the cube and just give them a tactile cube, how long it would take them to actually
Yes,
solve it.
and now that I'm plugged into the speed cubing community here in Colorado, I've had that conversation with a few of my
Oh.
cubing friends, and they've tried it, and,
Mhm.
I'm very pleased to report that I'm faster than some of these top cubers, but, you know, it was their first try, and I'm sure that with practice, they would be able to beat me hands down, but
Wow, they should make a new category.
they should. They should have a category called tactile cubing. I would love that.
That would be amazing. They have I think they have, like, all one color cubes, right? And then just have that with, like, some kind of tactile, um, markers or something? That would be really
Good
cool.
idea. They do have a variety of different puzzles. One of the
Mm.
ones puzzles that they have is called a mirror cube. And you
Yes.
basically solve it like a regular 3 by 3 Rubik's Cube, but all the sides are the same color, and the way you tell them apart is by the thickness of the pieces.
Mhm.
So you try to get all the thin pieces on one side, all the thick pieces on another, right? So
Yes, each part of the cube is a different, like, size and shape.
exactly.
Yes.
So you've seen this. All right. Yep.
I've solved it. I've solved that
Good
one. It takes
good
me a
job.
lot longer, but
Yeah, it's hard.
I noticed that you're collecting emails and looking for other blind cubers out there. How's that going?
It's remarkable. Before I published the book, I reached out to the worldwide community and managed to get in touch with 2 or 3 other blind cubers at various places around the world. And
Mhm.
a lot of the conversations I had with them went into how the book is designed and the content it contains. So they were very helpful. And now that the book is out, I'm growing a subscriber list on my webpage, and more blind people are reaching out to me and telling me, hey, I managed to solve the cube with your book. And it's great to get that feedback. I just got an email from a blind person today who told me that they had used to be able to solve it as a sighted person. And now that they've lost their eyesight due to Usher syndrome, they're now able to solve a tactile cube again with the help of my book. And I love it. I'm growing a speed cubing army, Carrie, and we are going to dominate the planet. So
That's amazing. I'm happy to be part of it, at least a small part of it. I can't wait for the sequels, you know, the 2 by 2, the
ah,
1 by 1. That's gonna be the longest book, I'm sure.
I'm starting to put some of that content up on the
Mm.
tactilecuber.com website. So I've
Yeah.
got an article now that explains how to solve the 2 by 2. And I'm working on an article that explains how to solve the 4 by 4, which is when it was released, it was called the Rubik's Revenge. And
Mhm.
it's a very challenging puzzle because you have 4 by 4 by 4 pieces. I don't know, do the math. It's a lot of pieces. And so your search time is a lot slower. You spend so much time
Yeah.
looking for which piece to move where, And so I'm not pleased with my speed, but I am practicing every day and I'm getting faster.
Are we going to see a 21 by 21 by 21 book in the future?
I again, the speed cubing community that I'm plugged into, these are amazing people, and a lot of them work with 3D printers. They design their own puzzles. Some of them have
Mhm.
mechanical engineering backgrounds. They know how these things work inside and out. And no, I will never.
But we could do the Pyraminx, which is like it's shaped like a
Right.
pyramid.
Yeah,
Uh,
you described the pyraminx right.
yes.
It's like a pyramid, but it's a four-sided, a base and three sides. So I think that in mathematics, that's a tetrahedron. It's actually one of the simpler puzzles to solve,
Mhm.
but the way the pieces move around as you make the turns scrambles my brain. So I'm not as fast as I would like to be with that. It's just I make way too many mistakes with it. Yeah.
They have all sorts of shapes, right? I did go down a rabbit hole, so,
Good, good.
they
Yeah. They've
they have
recently came out with an octahedron shape, which has 8
oh,
different sides. And I've played around with the one that is
wow.
not tactile. I think it would take too many markings. There's
What about a
one
Megaminx, which is like,
I don't even wanna think about that. Yeah, very
it's
complicated puzzle, right?
each side is like a pentagon shaped, if I remember correctly, uh, and then I can't remember how many pentagons it has,
Okay, good. You know more
yeah.
about it than I have.
Ah!
I touched it once and it scared me off.
Oh,
There
really?
there's another cube-shaped puzzle called Skewb.
Oh,
Um,
no. No,
y
please don't talk to me about that
y
one.
y
That gives me a headache.
yeah, where the corners turned instead of the
Yes.
sides, right.
They
And
start th there's
another one called Square One, which has little it's a cube shape, but it has a little pie-shaped slices in it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes, and what happens is once you start turning them, the cube starts changing shape,
exactly.
and that just twists my brain. There's also one that looks like a pinwheel, like it's cut like a pinwheel, I forgot what it's called, and all there's all sorts of shapes and sizes and variations, um,
It's a
yeah,
real rabbit hole. I am so glad I'm talking to you about this. You know so much. You did good research, and yeah, it's a world of fun, and
it is.
it will suck up all available time, and you can really dive into this and never
Mm,
come back out. There's a puzzle called a clock puzzle that has clock faces, 9 clock faces on one side of a disc. You flip it over, and 9 other clock faces on the other side. You cannot feel the clock faces, so it's not accessible out of the box. But a friend of mine did a 3D printed tactile modification. There are gears that turn certain clocks, and which clocks they turn depends on which way buttons are pressed in. It's very confusing. But yeah,
mhm.
that can be made accessible too, and blind people are solving that puzzle.
So, why do you solve the cube? What made you want to, like, and want to share it with everyone?
You know, part of me really likes the challenge. I like to push myself. Blindness itself is a challenge, and I'm already solving that every single day that I'm alive, right? And so I need something more. So yes, I learned Braille. I went through the Hadley course. Yes, I learned how to solve a tactile Rubik's cube. I did retire from programming because I didn't feel like I wanted to do that anymore after 30 years. But I am now learning how to write fiction and science fiction and short stories. I'm learning the publishing industry. It's a new challenge for me in this phase of my life. As a blind person, I would say we have a lot of downtime too. We get a ride to a haircut and we get dropped off early. Okay, what are we going to do for the next 20 minutes? Or we're on our public transportation and we're taking the bus, or we have to stand there for 20 minutes to get our connection. What are we going to do to pass the time? We can listen to podcasts. I do that. We can listen to audiobooks. Or you can pull that tactile cube out of your pocket and you can play with that. And when you're doing that, you're exercising your memory and your tactile sensitivity skills at the same time. That's why I do it. Why do you do it? Tell me why you do it, Carrie.
uh, for me, it was definitely the challenge, and I also, when I was younger, had a little bit of, Sean Priest from Double Tap in me, where I wanted to throw it on the floor and or take it apart and put it back together, and I did do that quite often when I was younger. I would also get really happy when, I would solve one side, even though it was incorrectly solved, I would be so happy, "Look, all this whole side, all 9 squares are white or yellow," or whatever color it was, and I'd get really happy about that. I don't even remember what exactly prompted me to, look for it. I'm like, "Well, how do people actually solve this? Like, how does that actually work? What do people do?" And so I just ended up going down a really, really deep rabbit hole of, like, how to do it, then I tried to get my son to learn. He's 8. He can do a little bit. He can
Uh-huh.
yeah, and then my sister to learn, and, like, I was trying to teach other people, and, I think, though, for me, since I'm still a beginner, it's hard to teach what you don't know, the whys or,
Mhm.
like, what algorithm to use or whatever, but I really enjoy the mental challenge, and sometimes is something to do with my hands other than I will listen to something while maybe solving it while I'm out. Like, I will bring it in the car or wherever I'm going sometimes. It's just something, like, that I can physically do without really moving. Because when you listen to a podcast or a book, it's very just all in your head,
Mhm.
and it's not physically manifested, and that's where the
Right.
cube kinda comes in, where it's like, "Oh, I'm touching something, I'm actually doing something," and that's what I kind of really like about it.
It definitely uses a different part of your brain. And I'll
Mhm.
I'll say you were kind of joking about, just the challenge of solving one side even incorrectly. But every time you do that, you're learning new things in your brain. Your brain is developing new connections about how those pieces move around. And every time you do that, you're going to get faster at it. And it's great exercise and good way to build familiarity and to teach yourself how to turn that cube and get the pieces to go where you want.
Mhm. I'll tell you, when I first started, um, I actually used just my vision and just like a regular Rubik's cube,
Mhm.
and tried to do it that way, and then did get a tactile cube, and then I actually ended up just doing it in the dark or doing it under the table or somewhere where I could not actually look at it, and I can still solve it, like, even with my eyes closed without any, any visual input whatsoever, and that just really is super cool, I think,
It
and
is. It's a great feeling,
uh-huh,
isn't it?
it really is.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Well, is there any last things you want to share with everyone? Maybe some encouragement for those to actually just try it.
I think everybody does need to try it, and don't be too hard on yourself if you don't succeed on your first try, because getting through just that part one beginner method, if you're brand new to the cube and you've never touched it before, it's going to be a real challenge. But I want you to um, get into the mindset that this is something that not only do you want to do it, but you can do it. And if you approach it with that attitude, then take it a step at a time, right? Work on that bottom layer and get that one side complete and all the same texture, and then pat yourself on the back and see how you feel about proceeding on to the next step then. But don't just say, "Oh, I can never solve a cube." Don't do that. Please don't do that. And definitely contact me through tactilecuber.com. Let me know how you're doing. I'd be glad to help people out if they get to a certain point in the book and get stuck. A lot of people get to that middle layer, that
Mhm.
second layer, and there something goes wrong. I don't know whether I didn't explain it well in the book or not, but more than one person has gotten to the second layer and ran into a brick wall. So just email me and I'll explain it a better way.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. This has been such a fun, amazing conversation.
Huh.
We'll have to have you here again once you get part 2 out.
Oh, the fun was all mine, Carrie. What a joy to talk to you. And thank you again for letting me be a guest on your podcast.
There you go. That is a wrap on the interview. It was such a blast to talk to Paul, and I just want to go solve a cube now. By the way, I'm going to have a separate video about this, but I received these textured cubes and they are absolutely freaking amazing. I love them. It's my new favorite tactile cube. And definitely check that out, and definitely check out Paul's book. I have started actually reading the book and it's pretty good. I'm actually using Kindle Assistive Reader, so it's kind of like an audiobook, but I hope you go out and try out the book or look at the website. Ask for a Word document if you want, go buy the ebook. And please, if you do want to do it though, please get a tactile cube on Amazon. They're only about $10. I highly recommend the ones that are just $10. Instead of like the NFB ones or the number ones. They are not as tactile. They were harder for me to feel. There's a couple different ones that are not tactile. So I will drop a link on my first ever tactile cube. But if you do want a high quality cube, and what does that mean? Like, that means that when you turn it and when you twist it and when you do all sorts of different algorithms and turns, basically just sets of turns with it, it just feels a lot smoother and a lot better. I would highly recommend textured cube. Because this is a cubing video, I just can't help myself. I'm going to try to solve this cube. It's not going to be fast, but I'm going to do it completely non-visually, and we're just going to try it, okay? We're going to see how fast I can do it. So let's turn on my
Start button.
stopwatch here, and 3, 2, 1, go. All right. I feel so much pressure right now. This is hard. Okay. All right, I'm going to fast forward through the solve because nobody wants to sit around while I take a really long time to solve this thing. All right.
Stop button. Double tap to activate.
Okay, that took really long.
5 minutes, 18 seconds.
Okay, 5 minutes and 18 seconds. Please try that again. Okay, we're just gonna do that one more time, okay? Because that was not my best time. Even no. Let's just do it again, please. We're gonna do this again. It's gonna be better this time. It's gonna be faster. Like, really, I promise this is gonna be better. Okay.
Start button. Double tap to activate.
Yes, I'm going to fast forward through this one as well to spare you all. Stop.
Stop button. 3 minutes, 21 seconds, and 15 milliseconds.
3 minutes and 21 seconds. That's better than 5 minutes. So we'll just stop there. That is not my fastest time or anything. I'm not like Paul or professional cubers or really hardcore people that like solve it a whole bunch of times per day. So I'm just gonna call that a win anyway. Even it was under 5 minutes, so there we go. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe for more videos like this and maybe ones with more technology. If you want to support the channel and what I do, consider becoming a YouTube or Patreon member. You get exclusive videos and early access to videos. Thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you in the next one.